Welcome back to Dark Corner Studios. My name is Aidan Wolf. Thanks for joining me today. Today I wanted to talk about something a little interesting. This is reasons why I think monetization of podcasts is about to blow up. Gonna have to stay with me though, okay? Stick around for this. Let's roll the intro. This is Aidan Wolf. So in case you missed it, I started out a podcasting news service called PNN, and in the last video, which by the way you can catch up here, I was talking about a new series of videos by Google called Podcasting 101. And then it got me thinking that it kind of went under the radar. I think there's something a little more important about those videos being released that I don't think anyone picked up on. Now, you got to admit, it's kind of an interesting thing for Google to put a whole bunch of money behind just to launch, well, through YouTube. But then it got me thinking, being a podcast creator and a YouTuber, they're kind of one and the same. I mean, other than the obvious differences, of course, one's video, one's audio. They're both forms of storytelling on similar types of media. But there is one major difference, and that's aggregators. You see, things like Apple, Google, Stitcher, and even Spotify are aggregators. There are so many more, in fact, that it would take me quite a bit of time just to list them all. But for YouTube, there really is only one. YouTube. Sure, you got Vivo, but that's really not creator-based, is it? So what does this mean? Well, it means that YouTube can monetize while podcasts are still kind of stuck in an antiquated system. Now, let's look at how the two systems compare. Podcasting, the aggregators, all take RSS feeds and send them out to listeners. And with all those aggregators, it can also be frustrating to not only track downloads, but what about all the other metrics? Oh, and by the way, isn't that the info we use to be able to sell ourselves? The metrics? We don't have those yet, or at least we don't have good metrics yet. So while we've been caught in this mess of aggregators all vying for RSS feeds, and even some audio hosts trying to start their own little empires with advertising, it makes you wonder, what would happen if there was just one aggregator, one source for podcasts? Because what if all that work had already been done? Well, that leads me to a pretty big statement. Personally, I believe we're barreling towards a future where there is a YouTube of podcasts. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it? But why hasn't it already happened? Well, let me point you back to those videos that Google launched called Podcasting 101 on YouTube. Remember, while YouTube is clearly put together and know what they're doing, Google itself isn't necessarily perfect, so it makes sense that this turnover might be taking some time. Consider Google Play. A very imperfect system, basically a version of iTunes without all the potential. But up until this point, podcasting's also been an emerging medium, which, it's emerging. That medium hasn't been worth as much money as it's about to become. We can all agree that podcasting has come to a point where it is literally emerged and billions of dollars are going to be poured into it. Some are saying as early as next year. Now, is it just a coincidence that we're looking at a push by Google to get people up to speed in podcasting? Okay then, so if YouTube just decides to merge Google Podcasts and YouTube, what would that mean to you? Well, first of all, hosting, which is a gigantic pain in the butt as a podcaster. Think about it. You have to go out, find a web host. That is if you want to have a website, which, by the way, does actually help. Then you've got to go out and you got to find an audio host, which not only costs money, but frankly is really difficult to do sometimes because there's a ton of them out there. Yeah, you can get both web and audio hosts in one, but they don't all do both really, really well. Well, what if YouTube was your host? It's like that for the video platform right now, but also when you take the audio responsibility off yourself and your RSS feed and give it to YouTube, the algorithm kicks in. That's when the real magic actually happens. The metrics just become instantly better. Now, this is YouTube's bread and butter. If the audio is hosted through them, they will know every last little scrap of information about each listener, and I'm almost positive this, down to their underwear type. And last but not least is the interface. And I think this is one of the biggest ones that people don't realize. If you were to merge all the different hosts, platforms, and UIs into one place, it would streamline the process 1,000,000,000%, not only for the creator, but also for the listener as well. So are we in a point where this might actually become a reality? I actually believe so. With the demise of iTunes, the podcasting world is kind of wide open right now, just begging to be taken over by a single source. And if YouTube does happen to be that single source, which I do actually believe it's going to be very soon, well, it might make it a lot easier for us hardworking podcasters to actually not only make a little bit of money, but it would allow us to get the proper metrics so that we could sell ourselves instead of relying on this antiquated RSS system. I think that's enough conspiracy theory for one night. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Am I way off base on thinking this? Or do you think there is actually some momentum building in behind that we don't really know about? Personally, I think YouTube's going to be taking over, and I think they're going to crush the game when they do. But if you think otherwise, let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you like this video, hit like, get subscribed. There's a video at least every week.